Welcome to a new podcast episode from the Fireside Chat series, a highlight of the Deal Forum at the 2024 Leadership and Dealmaking Summit, which was held on September 24th at the prestigious New York Athletic Club in the heart of New York City. We are making our Fireside Chats available to those who couldn't be with us in person and for those who would like to experience and listen to it again. Hello there, M&A Advisor community. This is Roger Aguinaldo, and welcome back to the M&A Advisor podcast. Since 1998, the M&A Advisor's mission is to recognize achievements, provide thought leadership, and connect professionals in mergers and acquisitions for the purpose of improving your deal-making craft and accelerating your deal flow. We are so glad you're joining us for this insightful and inspiring podcast conversation curated for mergers and acquisitions professionals. Whether you're an aspiring deal maker, a seasoned professional, or just curious about the world of mergers and acquisitions, you'll find something valuable and relevant in our podcast. Our goal is to bring you the best insights, stories, and tips from the experts who've been there and done that, so you can learn from their successes and mistakes and take your deal making skills to the next level. But before we dive in today's episode, we have a small favor to ask you. If you enjoy listening to our podcast and find it useful, please consider following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and subscribing to our M&A Alerts newsletter. You can find the links in the description below. This will help us reach more people like you and grow our community of M&A professionals. It will also let us know that you appreciate our work and want us to keep producing more quality content for you. Plus, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll always be in the loop with the latest trends in the M&A world to improve and accelerate your deal making. So please follow us. You are the reason we do what we do, and we couldn't do it without you. And now for today's podcast. Welcome back to our Fireside Chat series from the Deal Forum at the 2024 Leadership and Dealmaking Summit. Today, I'm excited to share an engaging conversation between Robert Strang, Bob, CEO of Investigative Management Group, and PJ Patel, President of Valuation Research Corporation, VRC. As the Summit's alliance partner, VRC specializes in comprehensive valuation and advisory services, making this conversation even more relevant. Join Bob and PJ as they dive into inspiring the next generation of leaders, sharing insights and personal experiences from their respective sectors. Stay tuned until the very end for valuable takeaways that could shape the future of leadership in mergers and acquisitions.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Good? All right. Well, we're going to try to make this interesting and insightful as best we can. Why don't you start by telling us how you got where you are today as a CEO and how you built this business?
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So I've been with VRC for quite a long time, 23 years, and been in valuation for almost 30. And it's sort of a windy road, I would say. It's you never quite expect it, but I was with VRC for about 10 years prior to taking on the role of co-CEO, and my specialty was valuing companies on the deal side, helping them as they're going through transactions, whether public companies, private companies. I'd say a lot of it's just kind of building the tools, though, building the tools to be ready for an opportunity. And so I guess around 2013, VRC asked me to take on the role as co-CEO. And honestly, I was reluctantly, I decided to take it on, but it's been fantastic. Just, quite frankly, provided a lot of the challenges and opportunities, not only for myself, but for our people that I couldn't even have imagined. So it's been a great run.
What's happening now in your business? I mean, what do you see from your perspective?
Yeah. So look, in the short term, we're heavily dependent on deal activity, right? Our business is sort of 40% what I would call portfolio valuations. So private credit, as an example, we're probably the largest provider of valuation services in the private credit space. That's 40% of our business. 60% of our business is on the deal side. And a big part of the deal side is working on platform deals for private equity. So private equity firms constitute the majority of that business. Working with public companies is the other part. What I would say is, many of you know, deal activity over the last 2 years, it's been a little soft, especially when you compare it to 21 and 22. But since about May, what we've seen is accelerating activity on the deal side. So May was okay. June was better than that. July even better. And quite frankly, we're pretty busy right now. And there's just lots of activity, lots of folks reaching out to us. I'd also say we do a little bit of work with families as well. And we're seeing good amounts of activity on that side of the business as well. And what we're expecting is just with some of the expiration of the tax laws that for the next year and a half, family-owned businesses are going to be very active in being sold. The second thing I'll say, Bob, is technology. So, I'd say over the last 5 or 6 years, we kind of dipped our toe a little bit into technology, but again, that's an area that's really accelerated for us just with AI and all the discussion going on out there about that. So again, we're, even in a down this year, we'll work on 1,000 deals. Last year, we worked on 1,000 deals. We value something like, 40,000 securities in our portfolio practice. We have data that honestly nobody else has, not even PitchBook has. And so, we're really jumping in kind of with both feet to develop, to organize the data. And then quite frankly, even build systems that can leverage the data that we have.
How do you evaluate AI? How does that fit in?
How do we evaluate it or value it? Well, valuing it is really hard because who knows, right? I mean, it's, I think all businesses today got to think about how it's going to impact their business. And, I think, look, as we're doing diligence on companies that might be impacted by AI, the question's going to be, well, how are you considering it? Are you doing something? Our business is a great example of it. I mean, it's the kind of business where you thought historically, like, oh, how much can this be impacted by technology? And here we are today, jumping in kind of with both feet, like trying to get things done. So it's, look, it's here to say, how will it impact us and others? That's, unsure. But, look, we're a professional services business, people, knowledge, depth, expertise, all of those kinds of things have historically been really important to our business. But I think technology and our competitive advantage, quite frankly, is just, some of those things plus all the data we have. And so even though there are firms that are out there that are trying to develop technology in the valuation space, the one thing that they don't have is the data. And so I think that's going to continue to be a competitive advantage for us.
Tell us, go back to when you were younger.
Yep.
Give yourself advice of what you would do when you're 30 years old.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think, when you're younger, you really don't, at least I didn't have an idea of, where I could go, what potential that you had. And I would say a big part of it is develop the tools that are going to help you to be ready for an opportunity when it comes up. Quite frankly, when my prior boss told me he was going to retire, I couldn't believe it because, he didn't seem like he was that old. He definitely wasn't being pushed out. Quite frankly, I kind of felt like he was going to be there forever. But again, it's when that opportunity arises, are you ready? Do you have the skills, the tools to be successful, in that situation? So
But you kind of had a mentor in a way, and obviously, and
yeah,
so you kind of fit into it. When I started my business, I was 33. I just left. I'd worked for the FBI and I worked for the DEA. And a colleague and myself said, we're going to start a business. We're going to leave, and I didn't have that mentorship. I had to just jump right in, figure it out, and it was quite risky back then. But here we are, how many years later? We built the company. We sold it to a public company in 2001. And today, we're back in business privately. And, it's been, a lot different experience learning on the job, right?
yeah, absolutely. Look, I've been very fortunate over my career to have some really good mentors, and in fact, the individual that was in my role prior to me, I mean, quite frankly, after my family, probably the guy that's had the biggest influence on my life, in terms of thought process and critical thinking and views on different things. And so and I'm still friends with him today, and the transition was spectacular, I would also say.
Right. Along those lines, one of the things that I learned was, because I didn't really have all the business experience, I put together an advisory board. And a colleague, a friend was at Columbia Business School. I got two professors from Columbia Business School and an executive from one of the pharmaceutical companies in New Jersey. And we had a quarterly meeting. And they really kept me, kind of like your mentor, they kept me focused on things that I normally wouldn't think about, like an income statement, a balance sheet, meeting your goals, business activity. I was really good at the investigation, the security, but I didn't have that business background. So having mentors to me is key.
Yeah, I was working with a firm here in the city, and quite frankly, didn't necessarily have the greatest mentors. And a big part of the reason why I joined VRC was the senior people that were there, as well as my peers as well. And so, quite frankly, I took a cut in pay, took a cut in title to join VRC. With the idea that having those mentors, having that environment where you could grow would actually be helpful. Luckily, it worked out. Yeah.
Nice. Does anybody have any questions or any input that you could share? We can answer anything related to our businesses, and maybe something else. I don't know. But I guess to kind of sum things up. I mean, what do you see in the next 5 to 10 years in your industry? What in your company and more industry wide?
Yeah. Look, I could say if the last 10 years, if you look back to the last 10 years that I've been in the role of CEO, there's always change, there's always challenges, and there's always an opportunity. And that's one thing that is core to my belief, that problems are an opportunity. And when you look to the future, technology, clearly that's the thing of the moment. Could there be regulatory issues? Could the deal in economic issues? I mean, I feel like the economic environment is always kind of there for us on, those of us on the deal side, ups and downs. And, but I'd say technology is clearly, the one that it really is what we're focused on today, and AI, how that's going to impact us, and what we can do to make sure that we stay either at market or ahead of the market. That's probably the biggest thing on my end.
And in terms of where you do most of the work, where is it mostly domestic? Is it all in the U.S.?
Yeah. So VRC is a U.S. based firm. Many of our competitors outsource. We've decided not to do that. So look, when you hire us, you're working on a deal. you want to go with somebody you trust, right? And somebody you're comfortable with. And so trust, confidence, efficiency, all of those things are really important. And so quite frankly, what I found is for us in our space, given our clientele, outsourcing has not been the right approach. And we've got plenty of examples. Like I'm a big sports fan, so not a lot of sports analogies, but the draft and develop model. So, we hire a lot of folks right out of school, develop them, give them opportunities, and the efficiency that you get from that and the trust that you get from that, second to none. I feel like so much gets done within the firm by just because we've been working together, and we've, just like a sports team that's been together for a long time. Everybody knows their role. If you need someone to step up, they're able to do it. So it's a big part of our culture.
No, I understand that, and in my business, it's the opposite. Like we depend on subcontractors in so many countries, right? Half of our business is here in the U.S. The other half is around the world, and those subcontractors are people that we had worked with in government, and we know that they're the kind of people that we can trust. They worked in the embassies, they work for the U.S. government, they've been cleared, and when we're doing a due diligence, say, or investigation, and we need to get information in Mexico City or Bangladesh or Brazil, I'm just thinking where we are right now. We need to have those local experts to be able to get that information for us. It's a total opposite,
Sure,
really, from your model.
Yeah. Now, look, we do have partners around the world. So VRC is the U.S. entity, similar to the individual who was speaking earlier from Core, Maine. We do have a presence in Canada. We actually just have a small team now in London as well. But generally speaking, when you're looking at the rest of Europe, Asia, Australia, South America, we've got partner firms that we work with, throughout all of those reasons. But I will say, Bob, one of the key things that I have found is we set principles that we all agree upon, right? We're going to do what's best for the client, and we're going to do what's best for the firm, not what's best for me individually or you individually. And with those principles, what we find is that decision-making actually can get pushed down to a lower level, and we're all on the same page. And so, you may have some disagreements here or there, but by having those principles in place, what we find is there's a lot of alignment throughout the firm. And again, the decision-making gets pushed down to a lower level. I don't need to be involved with every decision. And that's super helpful, I find.
Right. Yeah. We're similar with us. We do, everything we do is a kind of a team effort because we all bring different backgrounds to the table, right? So, my background in law enforcement, we have former prosecutors, former government lawyers, so you could be working, if you work anything in a vacuum, you're going to miss things.
Yeah.
That's one thing we learned early on.
Yeah, I always say it's a team sport, and I grew up in Canada, so I played a lot of hockey, and you can't all be goal scorers, right? You need defensemen, you need a goalie, you need a coach, etc. And when you have that, you win. If you only have goal scorers, you might score a lot of goals, but you might lose.
Right. All right, PJ. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. Any questions? Anybody have anything? Roger?
Yeah, good question, Roger. The question is, do you have a goal or an aspiration to grow globally? And how would you manage that? Is that sort of the question? And for sure, quite frankly, look, we're working on 1,000 deals, 40,000 plus securities. We're now probably the largest pure play valuation firm in the country. We have 300 people now in the U.S. That's bigger than even, the accounting firm's valuation practices. And you've been, known us for a long time. We were a lot smaller than that. The portfolio side of our business, working with the BlackRock, Blackstones, Apollos of the world, that's a global business. When you're valuing their securities around the world. So on that side of our business, absolutely. That's why we've got a presence in Canada. That's why we've now got a presence in London as well. It wouldn't surprise me. In fact, we've got several people today in Luxembourg, And it wouldn't surprise me if Singapore is another location that's on the horizon. So, but that's really the portfolio practice, working with the large global asset managers. The transactional side of the business, that's much more local, right? You've got, you need local market expertise, local regulatory issues that arise. In some cases, you actually need a license or a sort of certificate to value assets in different countries. So for that, we're going to continue to use our global network to fulfill those needs. But the portfolio business, again, for sure, that'll be a global practice.
Great. All right. Well, thank you all. Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new from it. If you have any questions or comments for us or any of our guests, please feel free to leave them in the podcast platform of your choice or send us an email at editor@maadvisor.com. We would love to hear from you and get your feedback. And if you haven't done so already, please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and subscribe to our M&A Alerts newsletter at the links in the description or on our website at www.maadvisor.com. This will help you stay updated on the latest M&A interviews and trends and support our podcast to grow and reach more listeners like you. This is Roger Aguinaldo, the creator and founder of the M&A Advisor. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our M&A Advisor community. Until next time, stay safe and happy dealing.